Present arms. Forward there, arms. Short arms. About face.
Please remain standing for the land acknowledgements by Ivan Sam.
Forward there, arms.
Yate she Ivan Sam kia kia ani slon twohe glini basichin kama hadashi che do my deski zidasanala put out the nensle. Hello, my name is Ivan Sam. I am full-blooded Diné from the Navajo Nation. I'm a U.S. Navy veteran. Just like to welcome you all to the Veterans Art Project statewide pop-up arts cafe here at the California State Capitol West Steps. Right now, I would like to start with the call to acknowledge First Nations of this land, the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territories of the Miwok Tribal Nation. Their traditional territory, and it is also important to acknowledge that this land remains the shared space amongst them. Today, I would like for you to join me by learning more about the local indigenous tribes in your community and getting to know the land they once occupied. Responsibility, taking action, and acknowledging First Nations and their land. The acknowledgement of indigenous lands ultimately provides exposure and a learning opportunity for individuals who may have never heard the names of the tribes that they have and continue to live and learn from the land they are standing on. It is also worth noting that acknowledging the land is indigenous tribal protocol, and the practice establishes a respectful routine and habit of supporting reconciliation. Building relationships. Land acknowledgement by itself is also a small gesture.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched was so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Forward there.
Hi everyone, I'm Darren DeVillis. I'm the Master of Ceremonies for these community pop-up art cafes. I am the Master of Ceremony speaker for VetArt. We have been funded by the Mental Health Services Oversight and Accountability Commission. It's a California state agency. They gave us a grant to do this for 3 years. We are on year 2. Year 1 was all virtual because of COVID, and now finally we're winding down year 2. And we always end up at the state capitol at the end of our events. And they're just phenomenal. If you're a veteran, if you know a veteran, please come out and support our cause. We want to get to all 58 counties. We've been to 11. Got a long way to go. But thank you for your continued support, and please come out and join us one day.
And I told my therapist, if you give me a bunch of drugs, I'm gonna abuse them. I'm gonna be back in the same old rut I was in before. I'm either gonna use them, I'm gonna sell them, or I'm gonna do something. So my therapist literally brought a box of crayons and some construction paper, and I felt like I was in 5th grade all over again. I made my little Thanksgiving turkey. I'm no Picasso, but we tried different things. We tried ceramics, woodworking, storytelling, music, all these different forms of art as a healing modality for me. Once I got out of a men's recovery program specifically designed for veterans and doing quite well, I decided to go back to school at 52 years old. And that's where I met Al Ventura. Al, can you raise your hand, please? I worked for Al Ventura in the ceramics department. And that's where I met Steve Dilley. Steve Dilley, raise your hand. Steve had an after-school program working with the arts and veterans. And I thought, oh great, I'm just gonna treat it like an extension of my therapy. Now, to cut a long story short, today I'm a communication professor at 5 different colleges in San Diego County. I have 15 years of sobriety. I have never once taken the medications. I still deal with my symptoms. But this is my next phase of therapy, to be here with you all and to tell my story. I invite you all to walk through, see all the art, and notice it's the beginning of someone's story. That's what it was like for me. I kept silent for so many years. Until I finally learned by creating, I could tell my story. But don't take my word for it. We have a very special guest, a professional in the field of art therapy, Miss Jill Brannigan. Jill, can you come up to the stage and say a few words?
All right, so I'm Jill Brannigan, and I'm an art therapist that works at VetArt, and I'm going to give you a little bit about my background and how I got to this place. But before I do, I just want to mention that this happens to be the first ever Art Therapy Week of Civic Engagement, which commemorates the contributions of art therapists in the state of California. This resolution was passed right here by our California state legislators. So how awesome that we're doing this right here during this week. 20 years ago, while living in New York City, I was working a corporate job. My husband and I were enjoying a leisurely walk to work on a beautiful fall morning. That morning was September 11th, 2001. While watching the horror of 9/11 unfold in real time, I was traumatized but also moved to pivot my life in a different direction. It was clear that the situation would call upon our servicemen and women to defend our nation over the next several years. I wanted to help and offer my support, so I quit my job and decided to study to become an art therapist. It's been a long journey in my career to get here, but hearing the experiences of our military veterans, watching their openness to learning and creating their own narrative through art rewards me every day. At VetArt, I facilitate a safe space for self-expression, as well as helping create a new sense of community among our veterans. Through history, we've used imagery before we had words or language. We process imagery faster than language, and that shows you just how powerful and important art can be in expressing our feelings and emotions. So I encourage you today to keep that in mind as you visit with our veteran artists and their artwork, to be mindful of how their art makes you feel, what message, if any, is being conveyed. Ask questions, listen to their stories, and be open to them sharing their journey. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to share my story. My name is Tanya Service, and I'm a 10.5-year Air Force veteran. I struggle with military sexual trauma, PTSD, anxiety, and chronic pain. Unfortunately, I suffered in silence with chronic pain because I was told my pain wasn't valuable. I was told, get over it, get back to work. I was told it was all in my head. I was told my PTSD was just anxiety and that I would be okay. I suffered in silence behind the mask for decades because I thought I didn't have a voice. Well, I no longer have to suffer in silence. And you're gonna hear my voice. And you're gonna hear it loud. I took prescription pills because that's what the VA said I had to do. That's what the military said I had to do. And that didn't help. So I took alcohol with the pills. Thank God my season wasn't up. I attempted suicide twice, and that didn't do it. That's because I had a story to tell. So I got involved in art. I had to find a way to not just exist, but to live. Unfortunately, when you use other things, all you're really doing is just masking the pain, because the pain is still there. I'm in pain right now, but I have a choice. I can control my journey. I can control my path. Not the pills, not the drugs. But with art, it helps me take out what's really in my heart and process it in my head. And then I get to express it with my hands. Whether it's with ceramics, whether it's painting, whether it's my leather work, or whether it's my storytelling, I get to choose. Healing is a journey. You have to decide and make the choice that you want to live and not just exist.
Greetings, everyone. I'm Tony LeBeau. I'm founder and director of Arts for Veterans. I've been a community partner with Steve and VetArt for several years. And I feel blessed to be here with him again in another pop-up. So before I do my thing, I invite everybody to give a round of applause to Steve and VetArt and all the other veteran artists who showed up to participate. Testimonial brief because I only have 5 minutes to do about 2 hours worth of sharing. I've got 2 spoken words with you and an invitation. So let me invite you to come to exhibit space number 1 on the corner over there across the street and read this article that was published in the Union Tribune in 2015, and it gives you my backstory and a lot of my testimonial. But I do want to add this. I've heard a lot of fabulous testimonies, and I need to add these considerations. One is moral injury. Now, I served for 6 years in 3 different ways, from 1964 to 1970 in the middle of the Vietnam War. Some of you might have heard of that conflict. And not only did we kill over 2 million people, but we didn't have the great welcome home that the World War II vets had. In fact, we had what I've nicknamed the Great Unwelcome Home. In addition, that was followed by the Vietnam Syndrome, which you can Google and learn about. So we didn't come home to cheers, we came home to jeers. And to keep it short, I invite you to visit with me. And if you invite me and the other Vietnam veterans home, I'll give you a free digital copy of my book, Poetry.
I'm a writer, and I know this isn't a poetry event, but I'm here to share with you a poem from my 4th book. I was 10 years in the Navy, and we struck out on a normal cruise and then found out that the USS Ranger was being called to the Gulf. I knew so little about politics at that time that I had no idea what was going on. But the things that I brought back with me, I would not normally think were PTSD. But here's an event that makes me wonder. It's entitled Veterans of Foreign Wars. Driving a street whose name is lost to this crippling narrative, I spot my brother stumbling hot-spit gravel, drunk on another Sacramento heat wave. Lost in the needle song, I was too stupid, too soft, too something to protect him from. Don't blame me. It was my car that hopped 2 yellow lines and an angry crescent, switching lanes like channels, like a dog rushing to heel at the feet of a lost master. Temples of dust rose from the ditch. I flung the door open, my heart wedged beneath my seatbelt, fluttering like a fat moth in my chest. Either stifling heat or grief baked my mind simple. Yes, this man's Pompeii-flaked skin and helpless grin are the same as the brother I knew, trapped in a body ravaged by mortar fire, a prison where all the keys are swallowed by angry gods. But I lost that brother 2 decades ago in an Iraqi leap away. This stranger's wariness says all you need to know about the silence between that afternoon and me, those last seconds. A sparrow dead on its perch. His shoulder brushed my bumper as he listed through a fresh wave of dust devils. What he mumbles at my closing door before sliding away, I will never know. But I believe it was, "I love you." As my car dug out of the ditch, I swear to you, that's what he said. Thank you very much for coming out today. Thank you, Jason, for inviting me.
Was a homeless veteran in 2008 holding a sign. I lived with undiagnosed PTSD for 30 years. And in that 30-year period, I got to know the state on a different level. As far as incarceration goes, I lost custody of my children not once, but twice, and had to fight to get them back. When I finally got my diagnosis, they used adjectives like, it's complicated, it's individualized, it's chronic. And in that 30-year period, I was self-medicating to deal with my symptoms. And that in turn led to my incarceration, losing my family, and all those horrible things, homelessness that comes along with trying to take care of yourself. But then I met a therapist, and the therapist recommended, first and foremost, that I try art as a healing modality for my PTSD. Oh, and by the way, let me mention that the VA used terms like unemployable, and I was devastated. Now, the VA wanted to give me a shoebox full of medications. I stuck with the VA and what they wanted to recommend. And as I talked about the conflict I had between taking medications and going back and forth, but then the relationship I started building with my therapist is irreplaceable, I can't put any particular value on it. It's just helped make me the man that I am today. And then along came Steve Dilley. For Steve Dilley, everybody. A man who is not a veteran himself, but his passion and his desire to help veterans, well, here it is in front of you. We've been doing this for 2 years now, once virtually, and now in person. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Steve Dilley.
Thanks, Darren. And I'm in no way going to bore you with some kind of long discussion, but I do want to mention that And I'm looking at the faces of the participants that have been mentors and who have become friends, and the artists, the work that you do. I want to say thank you. This day is your day. Let's enjoy it. A person who is really important in my life, my wife, Michelle Horsley. She can stick her hand up in the air, right? She's sitting next to her dad. Know who the biggest supporter of VetArt is. Michelle would be that person. And then Jason Jong, could you raise your hand?
Hearing about veterans pop-up art cafes for a while, and we know all about them. We just haven't been to one yet, and so this is fantastic, and we're very happy to be here. It's been great to meet everybody as we've been walking around and seeing all the art and meeting all of you who put it together. You know, the commission is behind doing innovative, interesting, different ways of bringing mental health services to many different populations. And there are 9 specific that we focus on with advocacy, and veterans is one of those. It's all in all a $6 million investment every year to bring advocacy, training and education and outreach and engagement on behalf of veterans' mental health. And so what that means is that we are investing in an organization like VetArt here to provide both local level advocacy to boards of supervisors, city councils, whoever makes the decisions at the local level about where mental health dollars go. We want to make sure that veterans are the voice they hear. And the same thing is true with state leaders, tribe partners, those who work in this office, this building behind me. We want to make sure that veteran voices are the ones they hear about the needs of veterans, because you know best about what you need. And so we're very proud to be partnering with VetArt, and very happy to be here today. You know, as I've been walking around, I've been thinking about, I'm a marriage and family therapist, and I love positive psychology and all the study and research about what makes people happy, that make people happy. And I think you've all figured that out. There's community here, there's friendship here. There's also engagement here. You know, when you're putting together a piece of art, I don't really know because I'm not an artist. And I'm also a veteran, so I'm not sure why to say we're very happy to be partnering with you. But when you're putting together your art or you're doing your music, you're totally engaged in that effort, and you're pulled out of anxieties, and you're pulled out of some of your isolation, depression, and the trauma experience. And so creation art is so important. And then it's also important for us to walk around and look at what you've done. That pulls us out of what we're going through. And so it's just been great to walk around and see this. And so very proud to partner with VetArt. Very happy to be here today. Thank you very much for everything you do. Thank you for living in a way that's bringing you health and well-being, and bringing that to all of us as well. So also thank you for your service, and to all the artists here, and to all those from VetArt who put this event together. This is great, and we're just happy to be here. Thank you.
Mental health especially is our family, and they're left behind. So this song is called For the Family.
Where are you now? Where are you now? This one's for the families of all the soldiers. This one's for the families of all the dead. This one's for the children missing mom or dad. This one's for the mourning, the weeping and the mad.
How did you come about making this book and these little dinosaurs or whatever they are?
So when I first started out, I would mostly sculpt a ton of dragons, and I would hand do like every single scale individually, and they're very intricate. So I'd take months, and there'd be one piece. So I decided I kind of wanted to simplify what my sculpting, so I could reproduce them. So, one sculpt gives you countless pieces. And the dragons are kind of an homage to my son, who was born year of the dragon. So that's why I did this. And Baby Fats is kind of modeled after a big one-of-a-kind piece I did that was called Fatso. So this is Baby Fatso, or Baby Fats. And it also sounds like Boba Fett, which is one of my favorite Star Wars characters. But I'd say about a year into it, I was asked to write a paragraph for the back of the packaging. And I just sat down and wrote for like 2 minutes and said, I'm done. They all laughed at me, and I was like, well, read it and see how far off I am. I really am done. They're all, don't change a word, this is perfect. And so I said right then, maybe I should write a book. And for about 2 years, it was in my brain. And when I finally sat down and wrote it, it took me 20 minutes to write it out. So I say it took me 2 years and 20 minutes. And then it took a few hours to design it, do the storyboard, or probably more than a few hours, to change the wording a little bit, because I want it to be simple. I want it to be a beginning reader. Armature or anything, I just sort of sculpted. In fact, I sculpted an egg, and then I started building off the egg.
Wow.
Just because I kind of wanted to. I know it's weird. It's not like like the way they academically tell you to do it, but nothing I do is like that. I've never taken lessons or anything. But most of the stuff I'm sculpting on a can, or I do a lot of work with the vinyl art toys and stuff, and a lot of that you sculpt on the toy. Or if I see a juice bottle I like in the store, even if the juice looks disgusting, I'll buy it so I can sculpt on that bottle. It's just this thing I have in my brain, but this is from scratch. So
what did you start with? Like a balloon underneath, or any sort of ball underneath? Or
yeah, I just put like a little. It was like a mini styrofoam head, but without the eyes and all that stuff. It was basically a ball with a neck. Yeah. And I just coated it with aluminum foil, and basically did up to here, and then once I had enough that I could build off of it, took it off. And
remarkable.
Thank you.
I love it.
Reginald Green, this is my art. I started working with clay during COVID. I was doing the bronze casting of other veterans, and facility closed down, so I started working with clay, and this is what I came up with.
It's beautiful.
Thank you. We got Adam and Eve, so there's Adam. On the other side, we got Eve. And then we got the snake, and we got the apple there.
I mean, this is still the only hard part.
Have you always been an artist?
You growl.
I think I was always an artist, but I didn't really realize I was an artist until about a year and a half ago.
So you've only been doing this for a year and a half?
I started doing this during COVID. Mask that I made, and had it put on a t-shirt. That's one of my first masks that I made.
And where are you out of?
I'm in San Diego, California. The studio that I work out of is in Vista, California, at VetArt Studio.
Right on. How long have you been with VetArt?
I volunteered with them for a year and a half. I got hired in 2018 and worked with them for a couple of years, and then COVID hit. So whenever we start getting some more classes again, I'll be working with them again.
Right on. Okay, we're here with, he's going to tell a little bit about his story and why he throws pots. But that's correct. I don't know.
Sure. Yeah, my name is Aaron Toole. I'm a Marine Corps vet, 91 Gulf War, and took the GI Bill just took classes based on people I respected and kind of found a community in clay. I've been giving cups away since 2001. So I've made and given away about 25,000 since then.
And what's the concept or feeling that you have giving away these cups and so many of them?
Well, the thing, I know they talk about art being healing, but I think what's really healing is finding community, and it's been a way to come back to the civilian world through the cups and through conversations, right? I have stories about all the images on the cups and what they mean to me, but what I think is more important is you take the cup back into your life, and then somebody you know, love, and trust, they can tell you a story, right? Like my father didn't talk about his war, my grandfather didn't talk about his war until I came back from my war. And I didn't understand it until I had a kid. And you know, he said one day, he's like, Dad, how come you were bad and now you're good? And I said, what? And he said, you were a soldier, right? And I just, you know, let's go watch SpongeBob, right? To be demonized or idolized for something you did or didn't do in a context you can never explain, it feels easier just not to talk about it.
Thank you for your time.
Sure.
Hello, my name is Omar Columbus, and I'm an Air Force veteran. I served with deployments for Operation Iraqi Freedom and Enduring Freedom. That's one of my poems? Okay. And I'm going to present to you today my poem, Camouflaged Heart. War makes humans human. Conflict is universal. From the beginning, there was war, before I was born and lifetimes afar. Battles rage as mankind ages, yet never learns from past mistakes or from stories of those who live to tell of what war remains, a living hell. I had never been more present than at that moment. Standing there in a desert land, hearing a foreign language I could not understand. Camouflage dressed so that I could blend in. Desensitized to suffering and pain, only a camouflaged heart remained. A predator drone loitered above, waiting to dehumanize the enemy. With my weapon in hand, encircled by sand, requesting a drone strike, reports of Taliban, with drone sights locked on to an evading man, left his truck in the sand and away he ran. But with crosshairs locked on, the moving target engaged, the coordinates called in, hellfire missiles rained. Dust and blood splattered and settled, my life forever changed. You see, it's the things you can't see that hurt me the most. Only a camouflaged heart remained. I'm no longer a warrior, now a veteran, seeking renewal and transitioning to peace. Still, dreams of war knock at my door. I try not to let them in. They invade, they conquer, they win. The guilt that comes from surviving, isolating. Comrades did not make it back alive. Hyperventilating. My nightmares evolve into daymares. No one sees, no one cares. What I've experienced, what I've done. I was once an asset, now a liability. Medicate the veteran, keep him numb. In a country broken into pieces, currently, I see no peace. I'm constantly worried about mankind because the next man may not be kind. I deployed in defense of a nation, returned home to unemployment and discrimination. And for walking while black, I've been stopped and frisked, racial profiling, the determination. I went from military to civilian, lost in translation, my world flipped upside down, forced reintegration. Prior discipline to post-stressed with deteriorated motivation, as I watched elected officials disrespect our veteran services, oh, the ultimate humiliation. And after 12 years of honorable service, I wake up daily, a black man in America, feeling nervous. And yes, I'm still in pain. You just can't see it. Only a camouflaged heart remains. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Carolina Hernandez and I'm a U.S. Navy veteran. I'm actually still in the Navy Reserves. I've been in for 18 years and I'm a Navy chief.
What do you do in the Navy?
I do logistics, but right now I'm actually attached to a medical unit. So go figure, right? Like needs of the Navy.
Carolina, this dress is a work of art. Can you tell us how you made this? What inspired you to make this stunning dress?
I wanted to create something that it was out of the ordinary, and as you can see, I utilized bubble wrap, right? I wanted to show some texture, I wanted to show some dimension and some shape, so I utilized bubble wrap as well as plastic, and I put it together on top of a layer of upholstery fabric underneath to kind of make it heavy duty, and then I used gold paint to spray paint it to kind of give it some like goddess looking coloring. So one of the issues that a lot of veterans like myself encounter, right, when we go on deployments, we come back and we feel like everybody changed, but the reality is we changed, right? Things are not the same as, you know, before we left. And I feel like that could be stressful, and sometimes we don't know how to transition out of the military, and you know, we go get jobs and we don't last because we just don't know how to cope and how to adapt to a new lifestyle. So I feel like art has been a way for myself and many artists, many veterans, to find a way to balance that, right? Like an outlet to decompress, to use it as a way to remove the stressors, not to get rid of them, but to kind of put them to the side a little bit and create. And I feel like by creating, it kind of like keep us going, keep us motivated, and also keep us entertained, right? Because you make something and you're like, oh my God, I'm proud of my masterpiece. And you know, I get to be happy by seeing my artwork and also sharing with the community and our veterans like myself are doing, that they can also do themselves to decompress, to deal with any issues they might have, like PTSD, depression, anxiety. And it could be in so many forms. It could be ceramics, it could be painting, it could be fashion, like in my case, right? Or it could be just writing, doodling, you name it. It can go in so many ways.
Carolina, can you tell us a little bit about how you got involved in the VetArt.org organization?
Sure. So actually today I'm one of the artists showcasing here in Sacramento, and as you can see, I brought one of my dresses made out of bubble wrap. I also did an event with VetArt on board the USS Iowa where I made dresses for that specific event because I wanted to show some texture, and they're actually right here. I wanted to show some kind of like creative art in just fashion. So I made 3 dresses for that event, one out of bubble wrap, one with balloons, and then another one with pom-poms. And they were all red with headpieces, and it was an incredible event. So I'm very happy to be one of the artists showcasing today and to show the world how diverse art is and how veterans incorporate art in the things that we do.
Great. And can you tell us how becoming an artist has helped you cope with any trauma you may have experienced because of your military service?
Yes. Well, I'm a fashion designer, and for me, sewing has been a way for me to decompress, like when I'm stressed and when I'm overwhelmed, right? Not to mention, I've been deployed 4 times, so during those times, you know, you have to go away, leave everything behind, right? And when you come back, you feel like you changed, but it's kind of like, you feel like the world changed, but the reality is you changed. So I remember sewing, it was kind of like my way to kind of like decompress, zone out a little bit, and kind of find the solutions to problems, and also to stay sane, you know, to stay alert and to stay motivated.
All right, so tell me a little bit about you and why you're here.
My name is Rochelle Steele. I'm a fine art photographer. I'm a Navy veteran. I was in for 9 years, and I'm here with VetArt showing my work today at the Capitol to kind of just bring camaraderie, bring artists together, also just kind of like show the benefits and the beauty of art and what it can do for veterans as they're maybe kind of struggling to get their feet underneath them after their service, and a beautiful way to work through anything that problems that are common for veterans. So
how has it helped you?
This has helped me immensely, actually, specifically with my PTSD and kind of training my brain to work in a different way. And for me, art specifically, it creates different pathways in your brain than your normal way of thinking. So the more you do that, the more these new bridges are created, and it just kind of brings your brain back to life in a good way and sending positive signals and all that good stuff. So kind of like to get crazy with my art because it makes me feel really good. And I think that it makes all of us feel good to do art and to share it.
Right on. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Tell me what about you do.
Okay, so the Veteran Art Institute is a place where veterans can show their art online, sell their art, and also have a sense of community with other artists who are veterans. The idea is to help veterans heal from PTSD, and or if they don't have PTSD, just be able to share their art in community as they had community in the service with their corpsmen.
Right on.
Well, I'm Bruce Fenico. I'm here with the Veterans Art Project, and 10 years ago I retired from the military. Couldn't find a job at the time and decided to go back to school, got my MBA. But while I was getting my MBA, I said, I got this art stuff that I'm doing, woodworking, but I want to add more to it. Got the MBA, and it taught me that turning my hobby into a business was not really feasible, and still enjoy it. So I moved on, but while I was going to school, I met an instructor who later on introduced me to the Veterans Art Project. I got to start being a participant there. The very first day I went in, we made something. I thought I was just going to a workshop, so I dressed up as if I'm going to go listen to something. I got messy that day, but stuff gets washed. After that, things led on. I've been with the Veterans Art Project now for 4 years. I went from a participant to volunteering, and now occasionally I even struck on how to do glass casting. This mushroom is made out of glass.
So today we're in Sacramento, and I would like to interview Phyllis Thomas, who's a Navy veteran and a wonderful artist. So Phyllis, can you tell me about some of this beautiful artwork you have here, and what inspired you to become an artist?
First of all, welcome to Vibrant Nature and Universe Sensations. All my life I love to celebrate nature. I was amazed with its marvel, its amazement, and its interesting thing ever since I was 7. I used to paint little butterflies after I catch them. My mom noticed I scarred up her beautiful armoire and discovered art was my calling. And since then, I incorporated in the Navy, setting people's mind at ease during these intense transactions and deadlines that are due. And so in between those deadlines, and as we're getting the projects done, I would have my fellow shipmates to get into art and get into the relaxed therapy only art can give. And so these are called fabric art that are derived from the images of like this reproduction here, which is called love. Love is from our original works, is the foundation of love. The air and water supports the life of love. The vegetation feeds the love, thus the seeds, and the gripping of the warmth brings forth the seeds, which is the entire byproduct of love. And this one here is a fabric of an original art called Water is Life, another Vibrant Nature and Universal Sensations series, which speaks of water, how it impacts our lives, how it keeps us vibrant, and how it keeps us going, and at the same time, its beauty magnified us as far as the inspiration and the respect we have for nature and its grace. So there it is.
And we are here today with the VetArt.org organization. And can you speak to how they have impacted your life as a veteran?
Oh, absolutely. Bravo to Steve Dilley of VetArt. And basically, he provides the beautiful settings that we can tell stories as per our art. How art empowers us and impact our very existence and get us over the hump of any ongoing conditions of PTSD, MST, and all other related matter. VetArt has been a very, very vital, platform for me to present my art, to tell my story, and to be who I am, and to keep practicing art. And as long as the VetArt has been there, I'm happy to provide ideal art to empower others, to evoke their senses.
I'm Malika Humphrey, and I have a testimony about life after the military. I'm an Air Force veteran. There were times where I felt lost and felt I had lost my sense of purpose. So we were Guns N' Roses. I have a Guns N' Roses tattoo on my chest because I feel like it resembles me as specifically like Black women. We have to present this mask and be hard and like independent, and we don't need anyone, you know, but at the same time, we have a place in our heart where we want to be vulnerable and soft and transparent and get our voices heard, but we just don't know how to show that, and we just have to start. So like you're saying, like enough of,
have I had enough of you telling me that my voice doesn't matter, you telling me that it's okay, get on with it. Well, there are times that I can't get on with it, and all I want is your solid support, not to be silent with it. And I also like roses because even though they have thorns, and I'm gonna get pricked, I have gotten pricked in life, but the good thing about a rose is at going towards the top is that rose petals that's opening and blossoming up so I can be the best that I can be. And that's why I love the butterfly, because I'm always breaking free from something. You know, either I'm going through something, I've gotten out of something, or I'm getting ready to go through something else. And I just have to continue to break free and evolve. And I love the heart because we just don't have enough love in the world. And I'm like, just spread love. You know, just love on someone else. We can agree to disagree. You can be vulnerable and me not understand why you're vulnerable, but I can still love on you anyway. I can still embrace you where you are. Not where I want you to be, but where you are in that moment. And that's what's beautiful about art. We get a chance to express who we are in our moment.
Yes, yes.
Hi, Tanya.
Hi. We have this mentality, let me reach up and grab it all. But what if, while I'm reaching up, I pull my hand down and I help pull you up? And while I'm still reaching, I'm still pulling you up. Because it's okay if you surpass me. Because I may be weak at the moment and have to drop my hand down and then you grab it for me. It's that starfish mentality. Each one, help one. Reach one, teach one. And we can do it all together as a community. We have to get back to community. Instead of being me, 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 let's help each other become the best that we can be.
I'm Kyo Sato, Kiyossato, Kyo Sato, and I was born in 5823 on a farm, 20-acre farm by Mather Field, where most of us grew up. I grew up with 6 brothers and 2 sisters.
Wow.
All younger than I am. I was big sister to all of them.
You're the oldest?
Oldest, yeah. And a great family. I don't know how my mother ever took care of all of us and fed us all so well and loved us so much, you know? And this is probably why I'm still standing.
How did you get involved with this organization?
Well, my brother was a veteran in the 442nd Regiment Combat, and so was my other brother was in the military intelligence service. Both organizations got the Congressional Gold Medal, not a few years back. Oh, I have the medal over there. Yeah, and so then one of the no, do you know how this got started on our VFW? They tried to apply for membership in the regular VFW.
Yeah, so just join with me on that one.